Hello and welcome to The Public Good. This is Dejia James from Partnership for the Public Good, or PPG, which unites over 365 community organizations working to build a better Buffalo. We're delighted to join you every Tuesday morning at 10:30 a.m. on Power 96.5 FM and Mix 1080 a.m. You can also watch full video of every show on our YouTube page. Follow PPG Buffalo on Facebook and Instagram for more information on how to access video and full podcasts of the show. And of course, you can always get great information on our website, ppgbuffalo.org. Okay, I did the spiel. I'm very happy and excited to be joined by Simone Ragland from Families Aim Towards Excellence, or FATE, which aims to empower families for a digital future. And today, if you haven't guessed already, we're going to be talking a little bit about digital equity, digital access, and lack thereof, rather, maybe, in especially inner city communities, but communities of color, I think is really what we really want to talk about today. But I want to give Simone the opportunity to introduce herself and just say, a little about where she's from, some of the work that she does currently. So Simone, take it away.
Well, thank you. Dejia, thank you for having me here today. I'm so happy to have an opportunity to share my story. Again, my name is Simone Ragland. I have been doing work with students focused on STEM, right? Science, technology, engineering, and math, tech skills, digital literacy for over 10 years. I was always a science geek growing up. So between bookworm and loving science, that was my thing.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that I had numerous paths I wanted to go. But when I was in high school, I was fortunate enough to be a STEP student, which stands for Science Technology Entry Program. So a state ed funded program that was created by Arthur O. Eve. And I was a part of the first cohort. So
That's amazing.
And then the best part about it is, as an adult, I became the director of that program.
Full circle moment.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I valued the experiences that I had with STEP and just having the access and the exposure to college going, to visit college campuses, to have an internship in a dental office.
Wow.
Right. And during that time, it helped me to decide that I wanted to go into dentistry. But when I graduated high school, I struggled. I went to UB. I struggled. And fortunately, the doctor I was working for, the dentist I was working for at the time, Dr. Wood, I'll give a shout out to Dr. Wood. He encouraged me to think about dental hygiene. So then I went to ECC and became a dental hygienist. One of few hygienists who were of color. Yeah. And so the intention was, at that time, was to attend dental hygiene, become a dental hygienist, and then still study to become a dentist. In the meantime, I became a parent, a wife and a parent. And I was sharing with you earlier, we kind of get lost in our lives, we meaning women, we become the caretakers and our focus changes or becomes less about us and everybody else. Right. But as my kids grew older, I began to think again about my desire for science. But it shifted, of course. Now it wasn't about dentistry per se, but how I could help other kids to excel academically.
So I want to rewind a little bit back to young Simone, who's thinks bookworm, as you said, loves science, and the STEP program comes into play. So that was something that for you were very excited about. It wasn't like your parents are like, you doing this because you need something constructive to do. For you, it was, wow, look at this program, right?
Yes.
And so I'm just wondering that experience and exactly what, I know you said they took you on some college tours and other things, but what exactly did that program do for you? Like, what activities were you participating in that kind of helped continue the fostering of your passion for these things? Because I often find young people have a lot of passions that they don't have the outlet to explore a little bit further.
Yeah, so you're going right into why I'm doing what I do right now. The idea of the engagement, right?
Yeah.
The access, right?
Yeah.
And then the empowerment. And so that's exactly what happened for me.
Yeah.
I became engaged in the STEP program.
Yeah.
I was inspired by the fact that it was led by women of color. And so many of the people who were working in the program were people of color, people that I still know today, right? And so, and they are like still leaders in the community.
And how important is that? Because I think when people think of STEM and even tech now, most people don't think Black.
Right.
You know what I'm trying to say? Even though we're there. We're there. But you know, it's like, it's something that it seems like we have to break into or whatever. Right. But there are some people in that we can foster community in that way. But we always talk about representation. But I just don't know, especially like you said, as a Black woman, to see yourself.
Man, that means everything.
Yeah.
But I think you brought up another important point is that the peripheral roles matter as well, right? So, and you're tapping into so many things, like you're dinging. I'm like dinging every time you say something, right? So like mentoring, right? And like you said, seeing myself, right? Being inspired and encouraged by these women, you know, like Miss Clark, and there were so many, but Miss Clark was the director. And there was just so many. But so yes, that, and it encouraged me to keep coming. Right. So you see these people and they treated you like you were one of theirs. They didn't treat you like, oh, you're just showing up and I'm collecting a paycheck. No, you felt like it was a family. There's
a community connection.
Yes.
Which matters.
Oh, it makes all the difference, which leads into, so then you talk about young Simone. I went to Hutch Tech and I majored in computer science. Junior year, I struggled tremendously. Well, I was one of 3 people of color in that class. Wow. It was mostly male. The teacher was male. And I stopped asking questions because I felt like every question was, every answer was condescending. You should know how to do this. We've been doing this. So, you know, like, this is, you're wasting my time.
Not a welcoming learning community, right?
Why are you asking me this again?
Wow.
Right? And I was an A student, you know, so for me to not have A's, to be struggling, that was new. Right? And then to be in a situation where people made me feel like I was dumb. And then I started going home to my parents who were not even high school graduates. So for them, it was, well, what is it you need?
Right.
You know, oh, you don't have to study those machines. You're not a machine person. You're a people person.
Right.
So
but you
now,
can be both.
Oh, we know that,
but
right?
You can be both,
But they didn't. To them, it was, to them, they said, their thought was, how do I help you? And helping me was, oh, well, if you feel like this is not working for you, pick something else.
Do something else, right.
You see?
But it's like you were passionate in that thing. So you really needed, like you said, that mentorship to help you, you know, overcome those hurdles. And because you're going to face hurdles, even if you're passionate about something, there's going to be hurdles.
Oh, there's going to be hurdles. But the important thing here is I didn't have anyone in my family who was connected to this type of field. Right.
And I think so many people have that experience, especially in our community, because a lot of the times we are the first. You know what I'm saying? From our pack, from our people doing something.
Yes.
And so, yes, you may find someone else that looks like you, and sometimes you don't,
right,
to help you through that experience. But usually I think that's why we go into different fields and we seek each other, right? Because
naturally,
you know, and
that's a natural thing.
It's a natural thing.
It's the Black kids in the cafeteria.
Exactly. Like, you got to find your people that understand what you're going through right now. Because your parents, your grandma, she's not understanding that. You know,
they just like, saying? Baby, here, eat some more.
That's what I'm saying. And that support is important too.
It is.
But it's not all you need. No. And so, like, I'm so happy that I have you here talking about, one, the work you're doing now to continue that support that was seeded into you, which is also another big key piece, because the STEP program seeded into you, essentially, it sounds like you're paying it, you know, backwards and forward. You know what I'm saying? So it's amazing to see, you know, the kind of next generation and iteration of that impact from however long ago that's now impacting current youth. And I think that's so important too when we talk about mentorship programs and all these other things. We're not just trying to impact community now, but also in the future.
Right. And and think about the vision. Yeah. You know, the visionary of, I always think about that while I was working at STEP. I always thought about, and when I would look at the research and I say, wow, I mean, you know, Mr. Eve was a trailblazer when he took the time, him and his team, to say, we need to be doing something to help our students of color, create these pathways for STEM and health professions, right? Yeah. And so here we are, though, the challenge and the concern that I have now, even after doing 10 years of this work, is the numbers haven't changed. You know, it's not like we've come 30 years in and the numbers are off the hook, you know, like they've soared. Right. No, that's the concern. Right. What do we do now? We're still talking about the underrepresented. And that includes girls, right? And then you have the double whammy of a girl and she's a person of color. Right. But we also know the stories of women who have gone into engineering and they didn't stay in the career because they had that same experience I had in high school.
That condescending experience. And that's the other thing, because you can try and get a pipeline into somewhere, but if who you're pipelining in is getting treated bad, they're not staying.
They're not going to stay.
They're not staying. There has to be culture change in that place as well. And it's not just about putting us in place, but also preparing people for us to actually be there is the other thing. I think that a lot of the time that piece is missed a little bit. It's like, oh, we need to help the poor Black people. And it's like, we're actually pretty good. You give us the opportunity, we running with it, but also we're not going to take on, you know, the condescending nature, the abuse, the microaggressions, all of those other things.
Systemic issues that continue to exist.
Because that weighs on you.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
When I could go work in a different field where there's more people like me and whatever, or go do the more comfortable thing because it's just better for my mental. Because like you said, life happens then. I'm married, I got kids, I got a family. Right. I can't be at work stressed out with these people all the time. Oh my goodness,
right, because you don't want to bring that home.
You don't. And you don't want it to get for your kids and all those other things. So,
absolutely.
But I find that's the second barrier. It's not just the barrier to entry, but also kind of being able to maintain in that space. And people don't think about that impact on us. They want to pipeline us places, but they don't think about what the culture is like in those places.
Yeah. And so, you know, being on the college campus. Yeah. So there's also the STEP program, but then there was the C-STEP program that came shortly after.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
C-STEP was the idea of mentorship. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Linking college students to a mentor, doing research in STEM or in healthcare. Yeah. So then now that's the idea, right? The mentorship. Yeah. Right. But here's the thing, then you still don't have enough mentors who are in those fields who look like them. Right. So it doesn't mean that it's not successful. It just means that there's still so much work to do. Yeah. But my passion is, you know, I've done the work with the middle school, high school students, right? With STEP program, which I absolutely loved. Yeah. But the whole time I just felt like I needed to go younger. Okay. I needed to get to them younger.
It's got to start earlier.
We have to start earlier. Yeah. Right? And so that's what I'm doing now, right? I want the pre-K to 8th grade
the
kids,
babies,
right?
Yeah.
Like those are the ones that they're still like so excited about everything. Not to mention they are sponges.
Yep.
The things you teach them, they don't forget.
No.
And they want to do it over and over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Over and over.
Yeah.
So the mastery can happen.
Right.
Right? But the other very important part is family. That circle. So when we talk about role models and mentoring, right? The most influential person to a child in career selection is the parent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if a parent does not have what I call, and it's also research, so I'm not making it up, STEM identity, right? If the parent doesn't understand what science, technology, engineering, and math is, doesn't understand emerging technologies, doesn't understand the careers, right? The jobs that will exist 10 years from now that haven't even been created, but will need people to fill them.
Right.
Right. So then we're not setting the kids up.
No, they're completely cut off from that possibility.
We have to include the parents.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But in a community, right, of color, the number one word is trust.
Right.
They have to trust the person. Person, right?
Yeah.
Who's bringing the information.
Right. Of course.
And so one of the things that I love is just the idea of being grassroots, bringing it right to the community, making it as accessible for the child as the parent. Because here's the thing, when you have younger kids, parents are more likely to be present.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
Of course.
And engage.
They have to be a little bit more active at that age.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you can have them, if you can have that little person spark that interest and then encourage that parent to continue to bring them.
To support them in maintaining the interest. Because then it's like the child's accessibility to their interest really depends on the parent. It depends on the parent. And so, and it doesn't take for the parent to be an expert in STEM to be able to support that. But I think they do have to have an understanding of where does this connect? Yeah, how does this help my child? What is this field about? Because like you said, the trust thing.
Yes.
Because for them, maybe they know surface-wise a doctor's a good career because it pays well.
Right.
But maybe they don't understand what medical school takes, what it takes to become an engineer, all the training hours you need, all of the internships you have to do, and being able to support, because then the whole internship infrastructure, and I've had a guest on earlier, actually multiple guests, and they were called Black Men, White Coat. They were from Jacobs School of Medicine.
I love those guys.
They were so awesome. And they were talking about working with the young ones too. And really, they were talking about the barrier of like that internship phase of most of these internships are unpaid, and most of our parents can't afford to support us through, we need to be working.
They need to have a job.
And so how are they going to do a full-time internship, which is 40 hours a week, like a job, but also work? You know what I'm saying? It's completely inaccessible. And so of course your parent's going to be like, well, earning money right now is a little bit more important than that.
And that starts earlier and earlier. We're talking about 14-year-olds.
Yeah. And even extracurriculars, like anything, ballet, anything, all those things take investment of not just time, but also money.
Absolutely.
And if they don't have that accessibility, or if they're on that, deciding between this decision or that decision, and they're not really understanding the benefits of that other one, you know what I'm saying? Where is it going to go? And so that can completely derail the trajectory of, and it's not the fault of the parents, but it's just the reality of the accessibility of some of
and the needs,
those things. Yeah.
The needs of the family.
Yeah, absolutely.
So can I give you an example?
Please do.
Let's talk about drones, right? Like I've fallen in love with drones and done all this research, and I love introducing it to kids.
Yeah.
And so when I talk to the older kids and I say, do you know, once you're 16, you can actually be a pilot? Right? Like you could take this test and become a pilot and actually have your own business.
Wow.
Where you could take pictures, and eventually weddings, all types of things they could do. That's an entrepreneurial opportunity.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So I want to go back a little bit to just the mentoring and the importance of the degrees of separation is what I call it, right?
Okay.
So when I was at the university, and I would have honor college students come and tutor for us, right? In the first session I would have with them, I'd ask them all, what are you majoring in? Tell me your major. Tell me, right? And they would say, I want to be a researcher. I want to be a doctor or engineer. And then I'd ask, I say, so who do you know that's an engineer? And they'd say, oh, my grandfather was an engineer. My dad's an engineer. And, you know, all of these people in my family, right? So think about these kids that I had, right? They have these tutors coming in who are super bright. And the reason I would have this session with them was to help them to understand that these young people, they're going to say, I want to be a pediatrician. I want to be an engineer. I want to be these things. But they haven't seen anyone in their circle, or haven't had anyone in their circle who works or is in that field,
who's done that,
or in that career. And so that's the power of, you know, when we're talking about engaging these young people, is helping, and the parents, right? To help them to now understand the power of the expansion of their circle. Their social circle.
Just to be able to see the possibilities. I was just talking about this with a friend about, you know, we were talking about just coming from where we come from. All of us have so many different types of outcomes, right? And we were trying to figure out what's the difference between me and what I'm doing and where I ended up, and my friend who lived next door to me and went to school with me, who maybe didn't end up in a better place. And what we figured out was one was the investment of our parents in maintaining our interests, extracurriculars, all those things, but also just what we were exposed to, what possibilities we were exposed to. Because for some people, I've talked to people before who've never left Buffalo, who've only gone to Niagara Falls.
Oh,
you know
that's
what I'm
true.
saying?
That's real.
And that's really real. And so when you don't even see the possibility,
that's what it's all about,
of what else can be.
Exploration.
And that's what sparks the, oh, well, maybe I would like to do something like that. But if you never see it, imagine a child who never gets to see.
Exactly.
They don't even they can't come up with it on their own.
How are you dreaming it up? Because if they're not seeing it and they're not reading about it. So me, I was a bookworm. So I went many places. And I always remember the first time I read about Carmel. Right? In California. And I was like, it just sounded like this most beautiful place. And I put it on my list, and I was like, I'm going there. Right? And I read about France, and I was like, I'm going there. Right? And so how do you spark an imagination? Right? You have to give them, you have to expose.
They have to be exposed. They have to be exposed. So that point of exposure is so important. So I want you to be able to talk a little bit about specifically some of the work you're doing with the kids. Like, what type of activity are you doing? Coding with them? I know you said the drones. Like, what type of things are you exposing the kids to? I'm sure they're so excited.
So this summer was the launch for FATE. Well, so FATE has been around. It's Families Aimed Toward Excellence. And so the initial idea was just helping families work toward whatever looked like excellence for them. How do I help you navigate that? That's my social work side, right? That's my trade, right? And so, but then incorporating the urgency of STEM and digital literacy and how important that is in helping families to achieve excellence in their families, right? And so this summer we launched what we call Bits and Bytes STEM project. And so Bits and Bytes is a play on words because you have bits and bytes in the computer, right? And the idea is computer science, basically. Right? Coding, understanding, you know, kids love gaming. They love all these things. So let's talk about what's happening behind the scenes in this phone that you're carrying around.
In your favorite game, in
these
your phone.
Apps, right? And so I honed right into robotics and coding because what I found after having contact with over 200 kids this summer, only 1% of those kids ever built a robot. I mean, think about that.
I don't think I've ever built a robot. So
right.
I might come next summer to build a robot.
That's what I love. I just did a workshop 2 weeks ago with young adults. The age group was 18 to 25, and none of them had built robots.
Oh yeah.
And they have kids.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So but listen, we built robots that day. They were the biggest kids. I have video I have to show you.
No, I'm so in there, and you gotta let me know next time you have that, because I want to build a robot so bad. That sounds amazing. That sounds so cool.
Build the robots, but they have to code them to make them go.
To make them move.
To make them work.
Oh my gosh.
So then we talk about, right, the brain of the robot.
Yeah.
The communication between the computer and the robot.
Yeah.
They learn about the motors. They learn about all the parts.
Yeah.
And the importance of the language, right? That's what the code is, right?
Yeah.
Being able to communicate with your robot.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing. Primarily, it's about computer science, coding, because that's so fundamental.
Yeah.
The digital literacy part of it is maneuvering through your computer, understanding how to be a digital citizen.
Yeah.
How to understand, right?
Yeah.
How to navigate the computer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then convey what you're doing on the computer.
Yeah.
You know what I love? When I see two little people working together on the computer and they're explaining something to each other.
Oh my gosh.
That's like the best thing ever.
The learning's already there.
Oh my gosh. And then I have to say this. So we're also employing young people, right? So I'm always recruiting an 8th grader on up to high school to become a student mentor.
Oh, wonderful.
To learn it.
Yeah.
And then to mentor the young people. So you know it's a double whammy,
and
right?
And then you're giving the older young kids still experience.
Right, experience
you know in
the coding and learning it. And I've had a kid he's been with me since 7th grade.
Yeah.
And now he's in 11th grade.
Wow.
And my husband even's like, he's a master over there, right? And he's already, I'm going to be an engineer.
So hold on now. How do people get in touch with you to help their kids get exposed to your program? How are people getting in touch? Are you working with schools? Are you doing your own thing?
Yes.
How do people get in touch with you?
So that was the other thing. I wanted to make it pretty much, it has to be accessible.
Yeah, of course.
I want it to be accessible. So the idea is to find other ways for it to be paid for so that people can have it for free.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
And so the good thing is that Saturday Academies work out really well. We go
like
to Saturday Academy.
Good.
And all kids can come and participate.
Wonderful.
Yes.
That's awesome. So you'll be at specific schools sometime.
Oh yeah, we post. Okay. Yep. We post where we're gonna be online. We let people know where we're gonna be. I have people texting me all the time now. Where are you going?
Oh my gosh.
And so now we've done this new thing where we have the mentors in training, because I have so many parents that are like, how can they do more of this?
Yeah.
So I have like 5th and 6th graders who are coming to every session to learn, but now they're not just learning. I'm like, can you help him do this?
Yeah.
And so
now they're the
this
teacher
5th grader is helping this kindergartner or 1st grader. You know, so it's a cycle.
So amazing,
and it's so
Simone.
beautiful.
It's so beautiful. You're like making a difference already. I know it seems small for now, but it's really just like you who had the STEP program. Somebody's gonna say, "I used to do Fate with Miss Simone."
Oh,
you know. So I think that's amazing. I thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I know we're done.
It's so much, but I thank you so much for coming on down. Please get in touch with Simone on Fate on Facebook. I'm sure you're on Facebook and everything like that.
Yeah, Families Aim Toward Excellence.
Wonderful.
You can look us up.
Yeah.
And we're also on Instagram.
So look them up. Get your kids. Go to Saturday Academy.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Simone.
You're welcome.
This is Dejia James with Partnership for the Public Good, or PPG, uniting over 365 organizations working to build a better Buffalo.